Dear students, welcome to this program EduSat. Today we are going to discuss about the non-detailed studies of class X, a grain as big as hen's egg. Very important one and also very interesting. There you will know a grain is how it is big as a hen's egg. Detail we will read, the summary we will discuss, though the chapter is very big, but we have developed a summary and we will discuss the summary. After that summary, we will discuss some question answer, it will be very clear to you. That is your non-detailed study of class X, a grain as big as hen's egg. You see the pictures there, hen is there also, the some of children are also there. Then we will go to the slide, then we know who is the writer of this. You know, it is very well known to you, Leo Tolstoy. As you know, the Russian novelist, writer and also very good SST playwright. He has written that story, a grain as big as a hen's egg. Yes, the next slide you see. The story, a grain as big as hen's egg, written by Leo Tolstoy, is a parable. What is, before going to the topic, we have to discuss what is parable. Parable is a story or it is a short story that is meant to teach the moral or principles of the life. Okay? Here some moral we will get, the students definitely get some moral, some principles of there. At the end we will get what is the moral of the story that we will inculcate in your life, that to lead a very nice one. Okay? Then you see the we will go one after another, the summary we have developed. You see what is that first story, we will go to that. The first stanza we will step. One day some children found in a ravine a thing shaped like a grain of corn. A traveller bought it means bought the grain from the children and sold it to the king as a curiosity. The king was surprised and ordered his learned men to find out what the thing was. Then we have to discuss the meaning. Okay, what is the meaning you see? One day some of the children were playing in a field, and in the field, in the ravine, there is a gap deep, and there they got what? A grain shaped thing. It is like a groove is there. Okay, grain shaped thing or grain. And the traveller was going by the way. The traveller saw it is a rare thing, and the traveller bought it from the children. Okay, it is a rare thing. It is looking like a grain, but it is a size of the grain is like an egg. So as a rare thing, what the children gave to the traveller, and the traveller sold to the king as a curiosity, because such type of grain was nowhere. It was looking like an egg. The king was surprised. When the king saw the grain, he was surprised how big the grain was. So he ordered his learned men. In the court of the king, you know, the learned men is there. So the courtiers are there. So to find out what the thing was, really what the thing was. Okay. Then we will go to the next slide and see what is going on we have. Yes. You see the king is there. Okay. The learned men pondered, thought and searched in their books, but could not make head or tail of it, till one day when the thing was lying on a window sill, a hen pecked at it and made a hole on it. Everyone saw that it was a grain of corn. Then I want to discuss it, the summary. The learned men pondered, thought, searched the books and everywhere, but they could not find anything what the thing was. They could not find anywhere written their books, but they surrender. And what happened? One day when that big grain or the big thing was on the window sill, okay, laying on the window sill, and a hen came and he pegged, make a hole, pegged means make a hole, tried to peck it means peck that grain or that strange thing and made a little hole in it. And everyone saw with the surprise that the big thing which was looking like an egg, that was a grain. It is clear to you? Yes. That means the lone men saw that they could not find anything else, and when it was lying on the window sill, and the hen flew and pegged it, and it made a hole on it, and everyone surprised then came to know that sure it was a grain. You see how big it is, looking like an egg. Yes, you see the next, what is interesting is there, what is going on the thing. The king gave orders, and his servant brought before him a very old peasant. He was old and bent, asipel and toothless. He managed to totter into the king's presence with the help of 2 crutches. Okay. Who will tell the things, where it was going on or where it was? So the king ordered to the servant, go everywhere, every part of the country, and find the oldest peasant and bring the peasant to the king's court. Whenever the peasant came, he was very old and also bent and also pale, okay, and he had no teeth at all. He managed to totter the king's presence with the help of 2 crutches. You see the picture is there. He was very old, okay, and also could not walk properly, could not speak properly, could not hear properly, and also bent, and having with him 2 crutches, he managed to came to the king's presence. Okay. What happened then? You see what is going on, interesting. The next is, he could hardly see or hear. He said that he had never sowed or reaped or bought such corn. However, his father might know where such corn grew. He told means the peasant told that he had not sown that crop in anywhere else, or not reaped or bought, but he had heard from his father that such type of corn grew earlier. So however his father might know, he was telling to the king or to the wise men, it is better to ask his father about the corn, and his father can say anything about the corn. You see, the first old man could not able to listen, could not hear properly, or walked with 2 crutches and also toothless. But what happens to his son, you see, okay, or to the father of the first old peasant. The old man's father was then brought before the king. He walked with 1 crutch, was still able to see and could hear better than his son. He too has never sowed or reaped such corn. As to buying, he had never bought any, for his time money had not been used. That we will discuss it. Okay. The first old peasant was very old, looking very old, actually looking, but whenever he told to say to his father, or his father might know about the rare thing, so the king ordered his servants to send for the old peasant's father. Whenever the old peasant's father came to the king's court, okay, he walked with 1 crutch, but he was walking with 2 crutches, but he came, his father, you see, this is the reason, his father came with 1 crutches and still able to see and could hear little. He too has never sowed or reaped such type of corn, as buying he had never bought any of such. He also denied such type of thing was not used. Then the interest is there. You see the next. Everyone grew one corn, and when there has been any need, they share with one another. But he had heard his father say that in his time the grain grew larger and yield more flour. Okay. Just he told at that time or at his time, okay, everyone shared with one another. But he had heard from his father that at that time or at his father's time the grain was little larger and it was giving more flour. So definitely see, whenever definitely the king will send for the father. Okay, then what the father is telling, you see here, the king summoned his father, the third one, okay, 2. He entered walking easily and without crutches, you see, very nicely. Okay, that means the grandfather came. His eyes was clear, his hearing good, and he spoke distinctly. The old grandfather held the grain in his hand and said that it was a long time since he had seen such the fine grain. The third person, that means the grandfather, when the king summoned, called the grandfather, he entered without any crutches. You see, the old man is coming without any crutches, and he could able to see clearly, but his grandson could not see properly. His son could see little, but his eyes was clear. He could see clearly and hearing also good, spoke clearly, distinctly, but his grandson could not able to speak, toothless. Okay, the interest is there. The old grandfather held the grain in his hand, he touched it and said, yes, yes. After the long time that he get that corn, he get that grain and tested that such type of grain. That means it was the time of grandfather that could able to grew that such type of corn, as you see. And what is that? He had grown in such corn in his young days. In his time, land had been free and labor was the only thing men called their own. Men lived according to God's law. Understood there? Yes. What is that? He had grown up such corn in his young days. In his time, land had been free and labor was the only thing men called their own. Men lived according to God's law. Yes, we will discuss. He had grown up on such corn in his young days. In his time, land had been free and labor was the only thing men called his own. Men lived according to God's law. We will discuss it. In his time means in the grandfather's time. Okay. Such type of corn grew everywhere in his young days. In his time, land was free. Land was free gift of nature. That means one can tilt or plow land, one can do. And also labor, the only thing was the own. Man coveted others, and also man lived according to the God's law, so that there was such type of thing or such type of grain grew at that time. And what is the main thing is there? Here the main thing is there. You see the grandson and also the father and the grandfather. Three characters are there, but it is the matter of thing that how did the grandson came to the king's court with two crutches and could not see or could not speak clearly, but whenever his father came, he came with one crutch and also little could hear and speech. But whenever the grandfather came to the king's court, he spoke distinctly, means clearly, without any crutches to the king's court. But the king was very much surprised. The king said, please tell me, what is the reason why such type of corn did not grow everywhere? The old man replied, the main thing you have to remember, my student, the main thing was there, the answer of the king's question was, the land was free and labor was the only thing men called their own. Men lived according to the God's law. But whenever men coveted other or desire to acquire other things without doing the labor, that such type of corn did not grow there. It became smaller and smaller. Okay, very interesting. So, you see, we should do according to the God's law. What is the main idea? There we will learn that. The moral of the story, you see, the moral of the story is very interesting, that the question raised by the king. What? One should be happy with what they have and should never get jealous of others. One should live by their own means. It is a parable I have told you. Moral things is the story teaches you the moral things. That moral things, what we came to know, that one should be happy with what they have and should never get jealous of others. What you have, what one should have, he should have content with this, not to covet others or to be very jealous with the others. And one should live by their own means. Whatever you earn, you live accordingly. Then you will live very peaceful life. So, the moral of story is very interesting. That is in the beginning of the topic we have discussed, it is a parable. Then we will go to some of the question answer or the activities there. Then yes. Who are the writer of the topic? Very easy one, Russian writer, you see, who is? Leo Tolstoy. Understood? Who are the writer of the topic or the writer of the story or the parable, we can say, no problem. He is no doubt Leo Tolstoy. If time permits, you read the story of Leo Tolstoy, very things, many things you will learn there, many parables are there. Okay. The next question will go. Penny is the currency of dash. Okay. Who can say please? Yes, you see, the penny is the currency of Britain. Okay. And the third question we have to go. The traveler sold the thing to dash. The traveler means whenever the children found the thing in the ravine, the traveler or the passerby got it as a rare thing and he got that rare thing and sold it to the very easy one. Yes, the king. Okay. Then we will go to the next activities. What are these? The old man's grandfather could speak distinctly. The old man's father could speak dash. The old man's grandfather discussed already. Distinctly here means clearly. He was speaking very clearly, because he did not have coveted others, he was not jealous. So, he was very strong and stout. Without crosses, he came to the king's presence. So, the old man's grandfather could speak clearly, you may write, instead of distinctly. Dash was rather hard of hearing. Who? The old peasant's father. You see, very son, father is here the old peasant's father, the first. He was what? Dash was rather hard of hearing, could not hear clearly. The very old peasant felt the grain of corn with his dash. At the last stanza we have discussed, the very old peasant felt the grain of corn with his hands. What is that, you see? Then he came to know that is there. We will go to that, the question number 7. What did the learned man suggest the king? About the, whenever the king sent for the wise man, okay, to know what the rare thing, what the surprise thing is there, and what was the answer of the wise men. They pondered, you know, they pondered everywhere. Then you see, they suggested means the wise man suggested. The wise man suggested the king to ask the peasants to know about the grain. Peasants means the old farmer, we can say. And they suggested the courtiers or the we can say the learned men suggested to ask the old peasants of that area to say about the grain. Next come question. How was the old peasant? Old peasant. Okay, very, this is important question for you. Okay, MCQ also there you may get also. The old peasant was old and bent, pale and toothless. The old peasant, then so instead of old peasant we can the first peasant, whenever the wise men sent for that one or the king sent for that. The old peasant here you will say, the old peasant was very old and bent, okay, and he had no tooth at all, and also pale, the skin was not in bright and also bent, and he was very old, bent, pale and toothless. But you see the next question we have to go. How did the grandfather walk to the king? Main question of this chapter. You can see also, how did the grandfather walk to the king? Grandfather, that means the third person or the third. Yes, you see, our answer will be the grandfather walked to the king's presence easily without crutches, okay, without help he came. But here we can also add, he came to the king's presence without crutches, but he could speak distinctly, he could see clearly, he could hear also very nicely. Okay. Then the question number 9 is, how did the grandfather walk to the king? The grandfather walked to the king easily without any crutches. What did the grandfather tell about money? Okay, money you see now the standard money, the Indian currency rupees there, but at that time what that was? What was the opinion, we can say, what did the grandfather tell about the money? You see, your answer is that the grandfather told that they knew nothing about the money. At that time there was no use of money. The barter system, you may know, barter system means exchange of goods and services there. That means you will give something to others and something will give you. Okay. Your question was very interesting, and also you came to know about the topic very nicely, and you enjoyed the lot also, and I think all are clear. Thank you and enjoy the day. Wish you all the best.